So probably the biggest thing vegans, vegetarians struggle with is getting enough protein in their diet. This is always the crux of the debate, where they get their protein from. So what are a few plant sources where people get their protein from? What are the best?
I guess before we answer that question, let's talk about protein, right? So, you can talk about, remember our pyramid of nutrition, which we kind of touched on in some of the old episodes, but your foundation of nutrition needs to be a total calorie balance, right? Especially when it comes to body composition. Above that is your macronutrient breakdown, so your protein, carbs, and fat. Above that's your micronutrients, and then it's things like timing and frequency. So, what is a good protein? A good protein addresses the base of this pyramid, your total calories and your macronutrient levels, right? So there's a few ways to measure or describe a good protein, and some of the most common measures in the scientific world are biological value and protein digestibility, corrected amino acid score, or PDCAS.
Summarize those two easily so listeners can understand what they are. Body's ability to utilize the protein.
So how much
within that source?
How much the protein that you consume is retained into your muscle, and how much is excreted. Also, how much of these amino acid requirements is this protein source supplying? So, there are 20 proteinogenic amino acids. So if you think of protein as like a chapter of a book, think of amino acids like the letters of the alphabet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different letters can combine to make different words, and that's how there's so many different types of proteins. Your body's made out of protein, so when you eat protein, you break it down into the amino acids, and then you write the story of your body with the letters from your protein.
And this is probably the biggest argument against plant-based protein sources, is they do not contain a full essential amino acid profile.
And typically, yes. So there's 20 amino acids, like 20 letters of the alphabet.
Yeah.
11 of those you can actually make yourself, so you don't need to get them through your diet. But 9 of them are considered essential amino acids, which means you need to get these 9 letters of the alphabet from your protein sources. So imagine eating a paragraph without any of these 9 letters of the alphabet in it, right? It's going to be hard. However, most vegetarians and vegans are very aware of this, and this is why, it's quite well known that you need to eat a varied diet. Vegetarians know that beans, legumes, different types of vegetables actually have different sources of protein in them.
But is there one source of plant-based product that contains all 9 essential amino acids?
There's more than one. Even soy, for example, has...
I think quinoa as well.
Quinoa, soy, yeah.
It's just the levels of protein are lower.
Protein is relative. You can eat more vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
It's typically less satiating because, protein when it comes in a steak is, accompanied by a lot of saturated fat and things that can fill you up.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at a plant-based diet, although you can't get, all the a very high scoring protein on, biological value or PDCAS, which I just talked about, from typical plant sources, if you eat a variety of plant sources, you're covering all your bases. And, there's absolutely no reason why you can't get all of your amino acid requirements from a well-balanced plant-based diet.
So you need to obviously research and find out and take in a variety of plant-based sources to get all of those essential amino acids, but it can be done.
Yeah, definitely can be done, and people do it all the time.
Sorry to interrupt. Of those plant-based sources, like what are the best ones? Say, give me sort of 3 to 5 of the best plant-based protein sources that people should be looking at to include in their diet.
Well, typically beans and legumes are, the go-to.
Mm-hmm.
Although beans and legumes tend to be around 50% carbohydrates, they do have a pretty good amino acid mix and, good digestibility. So,
are you looking at like raw beans and legumes? Because a lot of the vegetarian options I see these days and vegan options, they're basically imitating meat with processed versions of like a meat patty, and they're a mix of lentils and chickpeas and legumes and all sort of with all the other crap as well, preservatives and everything else. So are you recommending like just raw sources in with salads or something like that, or?
Not necessarily. I mean, you can cook it and it's not going to, it might denature some of the proteins, but you're still going to get the same quantity of protein. It's the benefits of a raw food diet are a bit different to, you know,
By raw, I
what
mean
we're talking about.
unprocessed, I guess.
Oh, unprocessed. I
Yeah.
thought you meant like uncooked. But unprocessed typically, you know, there's going to be all these other micronutrients and things like that accompanying it. Typically, the more processed the food is, the less nutrient dense it is.